Women are animals with long hair and short ideas, a jagged, brutal phrase that slices through the heart. Today, it's offensive, divisive, wrong. Yet these words spilled from Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher whose genius was as piercing as his bitterness was dark. Before we cast him aside as merely a woman-hater, and he carried that shadow, let's pause. Beneath his venom lies a raw, unspoken truth, a wound many men carry but dare not voice, not out of hatred, but from the quiet ache of love's betrayals. Welcome to SoulSync 365, where we face the truths others shy away from. Schopenhauer didn't despise women for existing. He despised what love did to him. It left him feeling weak, discarded, replaceable, and in his rage, he stumbled on questions that haunt countless men. Why does she always crave more? Why does she walk away when it felt so real? Why does the next man always seem better, stronger, richer, more confident? These aren't questions born of spite, they're born of heartbreak. Today, we're peeling back the layers to confront the painful reality of hypergamy, the instinct that draws women toward men of higher status, power, or success. We're diving into the silent resentment that festers when love feels less like connection and more like a race you didn't know you were running. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding, healing, and rising stronger. If you're ready to face the truth and reclaim your power, stay with me. This journey starts now. When rejection feels like betrayal, the root of Schopenhauer's darkness. He wasn't just angry, he was shattered. Women are animals with long hair and short ideas. That shocking statement by Arthur Schopenhauer isn't just misogyny, it's a wound talking. Behind the venom is a man broken by longing, rejection, and existential despair. Before dismissing his words, you have to ask, what kind of pain births such bitterness? Schopenhauer's philosophy is rooted in disillusionment. Born into a wealthy family, yet emotionally estranged, he had a distant relationship with his mother and failed repeatedly in love. While the world praised romantic ideals, he saw love as a survival tactic, a biological trap, not a soulful bond. The video doesn't excuse his cruelty, but it urges us to consider what it reveals. Not hate, but hurt. We've all felt it, that gnawing question after someone leaves us for someone better. Why wasn't I enough? Why do kindness and loyalty lose to confidence and mystery? The truth is uncomfortable. Schopenhauer wasn't completely wrong. In his bitterness, he exposed something primal about love, something we're usually too afraid to say aloud. From a Stoic lens, his pain was the failure to control what was never his to begin with. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Schopenhauer tried to make sense of the outside world of women and desire, but never mastered his own reaction to it. Jung would say he projected his shadow, his wounded, unloved self onto women, externalizing what he couldn't face internally. And maybe you've done that too, confused rejection with betrayal, thinking her preference for another man was a judgment on your worth. But what if it wasn't personal? What if, like Schopenhauer feared, it was instinct? We begin this journey not to become bitter, but to understand how rejection becomes poison and how to transmute that poison into power. The will to love and the pain of never being enough. Imagine being ruled by something you can never satisfy, a hunger that eats at you even when you're full. That's what Schopenhauer called the will to live, a blind, relentless force driving all beings to survive, reproduce, and dominate, not to be happy, but to perpetuate. Love, to him, was merely the will's cruelest illusion packaged in beauty, romance, and dreams, but ultimately aimed at reproduction, not fulfillment. To Schopenhauer, the agony of love was inevitable. You don't fall in love freely, you're dragged into it by biology, not by will. Every flutter of the heart, every obsession with her smile or scent, was to him a trick played by nature to ensure you serve your species, not your soul. And women, he argued, they're designed by nature to select the strongest physically, mentally, socially. Traits like confidence, intelligence, and ambition aren't just attractive, They're signals of survival potential. This instinct, called hypergamy, silently governs attraction. Women don't always know why they choose the men they do, but their biology does. This is where pain arises for so many men. They give their heart, their loyalty, their devotion, but still lose to someone taller, more assertive, or more successful, and it burns. Because it doesn't feel like rejection of traits, it feels like a rejection of self. That's what Schopenhauer couldn't forgive, and what many men still struggle with today. But this is where Stoicism offers clarity. You are not owed love. You are not owed reward for being good. Epictetus reminds us, some things are within our control and others are not. Women's instincts not in your control. Rejection, not in your control. Your response always in your control. Jung adds another layer. The anima, the unconscious feminine ideal men carry. Often, we project fantasies onto women, expecting them to complete us. But when biology overrides fantasy, heartbreak follows. It's not that she's cruel, it's that she's human, driven like you are by forces deeper than reason. So no, losing her to someone better doesn't mean you're not good. It means life is not fair and biology is not romantic, but you can still win by understanding the game, refusing to resent the rules, and choosing your own growth as the real reward. The quiet wound, rejection leaves, and why men stay silent. There's a kind of heartbreak that doesn't cry or scream. It doesn't write poetry or demand sympathy. It just goes silent, cold, buried deep in the chest of a man who gave everything and still wasn't enough. Many men know this feeling. They followed society's script. Be nice, be patient, be yourself. They gave loyalty, emotional support, undivided attention, and still watched her walk away. Not to someone kinder, but to someone more confident, more indifferent, more magnetic. The silent question lingers. Why not me? That wound becomes dangerous not because it's sharp, but because it's quiet. It festers in silence. At first, he keeps it together. He trains harder. He pretends. But over time, bitterness creeps in. It disguises itself as sarcasm, as cold detachment, as cynicism toward love. Women just want money. Nice guys finish last. All of them are the same. But these aren't truths. They're shields. They protect a heart too tired to hope again. Jung called this the shadow, the unacknowledged. Wounded self we hide, even from ourselves. The man who gets rejected and laughs it off may carry unbearable grief beneath that laugh. A grief that longs not just to be loved, but to be chosen. Schopenhauer didn't process his pain. He intellectualized it. He called love an illusion. He attacked femininity, but he never healed. His bitterness grew roots so deep, his philosophy couldn't escape it. That's the danger. When truth and pain mix, they can create poison. But the Stoics offer another path. Courage. Not the kind that fights others, but the kind that faces what's inside. Marcus Aurelius didn't say avoid pain. He said embrace it as part of your training. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. To face heartbreak with courage is to ask, what did this reveal about me? Not was she wrong, but what wound in me kept chasing validation. It's not weakness to grieve. It's weakness to run from grief. The modern world gives men few safe places to feel pain. Many turn to online echo chamber spaces where blame replaces reflection. And for a time, it feels good to blame. But you don't grow in resentment. You only dig deeper into the wound. The way out is not rejection of women, it's integration of pain. Accept the grief, name it, sit with it, then, with time, turn it into direction. Not all pain needs to be healed before you move on, but it must be acknowledged, because the man who buries his pain becomes a shadow of himself, reactive, bitter, incomplete. But the man who owns his pain, he becomes a force, unshakable, unapologetically whole. When truth becomes poison, the bitterness trap. There's a dangerous transformation that occurs when a man discovers an uncomfortable truth but refuses to process the pain that comes with it. What begins as awareness can quickly turn into weaponry. What starts as clarity ends in corrosion. This is where Schopenhauer's path becomes a warning. When truth is mixed with unhealed wounds, it becomes poison. Schopenhauer was not wrong about hypergamy. He wasn't even wrong to feel disillusioned by love. But his philosophy, soaked in bitterness, didn't liberate it trapped. He turned personal rejection into universal judgment, and many modern men, hurt and confused, are tempted to follow him there. Let's be clear. Hypergamy is real, it's instinctual, it's not evil. A woman seeks the best she can secure for security, for offspring, for survival. This isn't modern manipulation, it's ancient biology. And yes, it can hurt when you're on the receiving end of that selection process. But biology doesn't hate you, it's just blind. It doesn't see your kindness, your loyalty, your struggle. It sees value signals, confidence, competence, direction. The pain of not being chosen is valid. But the moment you let that pain harden into blame, you poison your own mind. You start to generalize. You start saying, women only want X, or good men always lose. You stop growing and start decaying. This is what Schopenhauer didn't overcome. His truth about love's illusion was sharp, but he never tempered it with healing. So his words turned acidic. Men who adopt his mindset without awareness end up stuck in resentment. They don't become stronger, they become lonelier, angrier, smaller. Stoicism teaches a different alchemy. Turn pain into power. When you discover a harsh truth, don't use it to retreat, use it to rise. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Knowing that women are wired to seek strength. That's not a curse, it's a challenge. A mirror. Ask yourself, am I bitter because I was lied to or because I'm not who I thought I was? The difference is crucial. If your self-worth crumbles when someone leaves, it wasn't built on you, it was built on being needed. But when your foundation is internal, rejection doesn't destroy you, it directs you. It's not the end, it's feedback. There are only two responses to truth. Blame or build. The first keeps you stuck. The second makes you undeniable. Don't use insight to justify withdrawal. Use it to light a fire. Build a presence so rooted in purpose, so disciplined, that attraction becomes a side effect, not a pursuit. That's the Stoic way. That's individuation in Jung's terms, integrating all parts of yourself, even the hurt ones, into something whole and unshakable. Rejection doesn't define you, reaction does. Truth doesn't break you, bitterness does. Stop chasing love, start building the man. Most men ask the wrong question after rejection. How can I get her back, or what can I do so women will choose me next time? These questions are built on a broken foundation, the illusion that your value depends on someone else's recognition. But what if the better question is, how can I become a man I admire, regardless of who notices? The truth is, chasing women, seeking their validation, or tweaking your personality to fit what you think they want is the fast lane to emptiness. You'll either exhaust yourself trying to be someone else, or worse, win her with a mask you can't wear forever. Schopenhauer's downfall wasn't the recognition of love's pain, it was letting that pain become identity. But there's another path. You don't need to manipulate attraction. You need to master yourself. Because when you become the kind of man who walks with presence, purpose, and inner gravity, you no longer beg to be chosen. You are the one who chooses. This is the shift that Stoicism and Jung call for. Stoic self-mastery teaches that peace and power come from what's within your control, your routines, your mindset, your mission, not how she texts you back, not how she feels today. Jungian individuation teaches that the mature man is not a pleaser, nor a manipulator, but an integrated self, someone who has faced his shadows and no longer acts from wounded ego. What does this look like practically? Self-discipline. You build daily habits training your body, focusing your mind, owning your mornings. Every repetition in the gym, every book you read, every hour you reclaim from distraction, it's not for her, it's for your kingdom. Inner validation. You stop needing to be liked. You stop asking if you're enough. You begin to live as if you already are, and that shift in energy changes everything. You speak less. You move deliberately. People lean in, not because you're loud, but because your presence is rare, radiating presence. You no longer chase conversations. You no longer anxiously wait for replies. You create momentum in your own life, and others feel drawn toward that movement. You become a gravitational field, not a wandering satellite. This isn't theory. This is transformation. The men who live this way are the ones who don't talk about being alpha. They just build silently until the world watches. Women don't love them because they try. Women respect them because they've stopped trying to be loved. You don't get women by chasing. You attract them by becoming. That's the great secret. And the best part, even if they don't come, you still win. Because you built something no one can take away, yourself. So stop asking how to win her heart. Ask how to sharpen your soul. Pain is fuel only if you let it burn clean. There is a kind of pain that silences you not with tears, but with the slow erosion of your self-belief. It doesn't announce itself. It simply shows up in your habits. You stop showing up to the gym. You scroll longer. You speak less. You wonder silently, what was wrong with me? But what if that pain wasn't a curse, but a spark? After heartbreak, rejection, or betrayal, most men react in one of two ways. They collapse, or they construct. Collapse is easy. You play victim, blame the world, hate women, or numb yourself with distractions. But construction building from pain, that's rare and powerful. Schopenhauer let his rejection harden him into bitterness. He was brilliant, but he never transmuted the wound. That's the difference between pain as poison and pain as fuel. If you allow it, your pain becomes your discipline. You wake up and train not to look better for her, but to reclaim power from what once made you feel small. You study because every page turns the volume down on what was lost and up on who you're becoming. You manage your time because you realize every minute wasted chasing the past is stolen from the future you're meant to build. This is the Stoic alchemy Marcus Aurelius spoke of. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, and it is mirrored in Jung's philosophy. Transformation doesn't happen through avoidance, but through conscious suffering. Pain shows you what still controls you. When faced, it refines you. Here's the truth most men never hear. The woman who left was not the loss. The man you abandoned inside yourself, that's the real tragedy. But the good news is, he's still there waiting. He's the man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't need validation to feel alive. He lifts, he learns, he leads. You can reach him. Start simple. Choose one area of pain and ask, what would this look like if I used it as fuel? If she said you weren't exciting, build adventure into your life. If she said you weren't driven, forge a mission. If she said you were too emotional, master your responses, not suppress them. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just not texting her, not checking her profile, not replaying old conversations. That's strength too. Eventually, the pain stops being something you talk about. It becomes something you thank, because it pushed you where comfort never could. So let it burn, but let it burn clean. Choose yourself. Become unstoppable. Every man remembers the moment she walked away, but the moment that truly defines you isn't when she left. It's what you did afterward. Did you chase? Did you shrink? Did you wonder if being nicer would have changed the outcome? Or did you finally choose yourself? Schopenhauer's despair warned us about love's darker nature. He saw love as nature's trap, a manipulation of the will, and while his bitterness hardened him, it also pointed to an inconvenient truth. When you make love your purpose, you give your power away. That's why the solution is not to hate love or women. It's to recenter the compass of your life. You are the mission, your strength, your purpose, your evolution. These are not side quests. They are the core. Every other outcome, including love, becomes a byproduct of that inner alignment. So what does it mean to choose yourself? It means building your body not just for looks, but for discipline and power. Training becomes meditation. It rewires your nervous system and returns authority to your breath. It means sharpening your mind, not to impress, but to think independently, to see through manipulation, through trends, through your own ego. Reading, journaling, writing, all of it returns you to sovereignty. It means managing your time like a man at war, because every hour you spend chasing someone who doesn't value you is an hour stolen from your future empire. It means creating your own path, not asking for permission, not waiting to be picked, but walking so deliberately that the world has no choice but to respect your silence. Here's the paradox. The less you need approval, the more magnetic you become. The man who chooses himself is not arrogant, he's anchored. His presence calms the room, not because he speaks loud, but because he no longer needs to. Women are drawn to him, not because he pleases them, but because he's pleasing to himself. This isn't game, this is gravity. If you've been begging for closure, clarity, or her attention, stop. You don't need her to choose you. You need you to choose you. That's what separates the bitter man from the reborn one. And choosing yourself isn't a moment, it's a ritual, daily. Wake up early, move, block time to read or think without distractions. Write down your mission for the week, stick to it. Cut one distraction that drains your masculine core, whether it's excessive scrolling, mindless entertainment, or emotional dependency. In the end, Schopenhauer gave us a glimpse of what happens when a man doesn't choose himself. His pain calcified into contempt. But you can alchemize your pain into power. Choose yourself, not just because she didn't, but because you were always meant to. The fire beneath your pain. Transform rejection into power. Every wound carries a message. Every heartbreak hides an invitation. And behind every rejection, there's a mirror not of your weakness, but of your next evolution. Schopenhauer saw love as suffering. He believed it enslaved men to biology, to instincts they didn't fully understand. And in a way, he wasn't wrong. Love hurts especially when it feels like a contest, where status outranks sincerity and silent sacrifices go unseen. But here's the truth Schopenhauer didn't fully embrace. Pain doesn't have to poison you, it can forge you. Heartbreak is not the end, it's the raw material for the man you were meant to become. When you shift your mindset from victimhood to growth, rejection no longer defines you, it awakens you. It tells you exactly where you stopped living for yourself. Were you too available? Did you abandon your purpose for a promise? Were you begging for love instead of embodying it? These questions don't condemn you, they liberate you. The fire of pain is purifying, and when you walk through it willingly, not only do you survive, you emerge as something rare, a man who cannot be broken by the world because he has already been rebuilt from within. What does that look like in practice? It means using the pain of being left not to spiral, but to rise. You don't hit the gym to get her back. You do it to reclaim your temple. You don't read philosophy to sound smart. You do it to think clearly when the world distorts your truth. You don't start your mission to prove anything. You do it because you remember who you are. You learn to walk away from people who only wanted fragments of you. You stop offering your soul in exchange for temporary affection. You let go, not with hate, but with clarity, and that clarity becomes your compass. Men often think they must either become cold or stay wounded. But there's a third way, the Stoic way, the path of integration. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Jung taught us to bring the unconscious into light, to face our shadow, not suppress it. Together, they offer a roadmap. Face the pain, own it, and transmute it. This is how heartbreak becomes a gift. It makes you refine your standards, build emotional resilience, and reclaim your sovereignty not as armor, but as your natural state. In a world obsessed with validation, a man who no longer seeks it becomes a force. He walks differently, speaks less, feels more. He is both grounded and free. So let Schopenhauer's sorrow be your warning, but not your destiny. Yes, love can deceive, but it can also awaken. Yes, women may choose better, but you can choose to become undeniable, not for them, but for yourself. Let your heartbreak not be your downfall, but your initiation. Build your mind like a fortress, your habits like a ritual, your presence like a flame. And remember, when you stop chasing, you start becoming. Transform your solitude into unstoppable focus. Let your silence forge an unbreakable strength. So, what's next? Build a body that radiates power, not just for looks, but for the fire within. Sharpen your mind, read voraciously, think deeply, question everything, reclaim your time, cutting away distractions that dim your growth. Carve a path that echoes your values, your dreams, your purpose. If love finds you, welcome it, but never let it define you. Your worth isn't tethered to someone else's gaze. You are enough, right now, as you are. This is the dawn of a new you. No longer the man who waits for validation. You are the man who chooses his destiny. No longer the one who crumbles under heartbreak. You rise stronger from every fall. No longer hiding your pain. You wield it as fuel for your purpose. So here's your charge. Don't beg, don't chase, don't shrink. Grow relentlessly. Lead boldly. Rise unstoppably. When you know who you are, no rejection, no failure, no loss can ever make you feel less than extraordinary. I want to hear your story. How are you turning pain into power? What's one step you're taking to rise? Drop it in the comments. Your journey could inspire another man to stand tall. I'm reading everyone and reaching out to connect. Join the Man of Substance Brotherhood. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay in the fight. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement of men building lives that command respect. Choose yourself today, and I'll see you in the next one.